What up, y'all? This is Justin Muzak here with SMTV. We got my boy here, Dae One. How you doing, man? I'm doing great. What I want to dive into first is you started off on a Kai MPC, correct? So did you start out using it just chopping samples, or were you using it just to lay down your drums and stuff?
When I first got the MPC, I was using it for samples. I didn't understand like how I was supposed to make beats from scratch. I just thought I was supposed to like sample other stuff and make something new out of that. So I tackled the art form of like sampling first. Then later on I transitioned into playing keys when I understood the financials of sampling two new records at once. So yeah.
Would you say it all was natural for you?
I think so. Ever since I was a young kid, I had a knack for music or a love for music, a great appreciation for like stuff that made me want to dance or sing. So I was kind of already drawn to it as a kid, and then wanting to get into music professionally, it was just like, where do I start? And you know, everyone I talked to was like, well, just start sampling first, and then that's kind of how I started.
So how did you link up with the legendary DJ Sir Jinx?
Funny story, man. I ended up linking up with Sir Jinx. One of my friends, this guy named Noni Spitz, he's a real good friend of mine, childhood friends, and he went to a club. You know, he would often go out more than I would, so he went to this club one night, and at this club, you know, he's a rapper, so at this club he ended up battling some other MC at the club. And Sir Jinx just happened to be DJing that night and seen him rapping against this dude, and then he approached him like, yo, dude, like, you're kind of nice, like, I want you to come by my house, you know, and let's chop it up, right? So he was like, well, I'll come if I can bring my producer. And he was like, all right, well, yeah, bring him with you. So he called me up and was like, man, we got to go to meet Sir Jinx's house. And at this time, I didn't really know the ramifications or the importance of who Sir Jinx was. I just kind of knew his name and seen a couple posters when I was younger, but I didn't really like know the history. So we go to his house, and he just kind of like was like, all right, well, play me some stuff. You make beats. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, play me something. So I played him some stuff, and he was just sitting there looking at me like this. And he's like, all right, play another one. And then I played something else.
Just waiting to catch something.
And he was like, play something else. And I was like, damn, he don't like nothing. So I played him like all these stuff. And then he like was like, all right, I'm gonna play you something. Then he played me something. And then I went home, and then he called me like, you know, later on as we developed, he called me and was like, you know, I want you to come around more often. I'm gonna teach you more about production and how to make your drums a lot bigger and your sound a lot greater. So I started going to him. He started mentoring me on how to make beats. And then years later, maybe 3 or 4 years later, he had a conversation with me. He was like, man, remember that first time you came over to my house? And I was like, yeah. He was like, you was playing me your beats? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, man, I was sitting there trying my hardest not to tell you how dope you were. He was like, I was just sitting there I was just sitting there like, damn, like what the hell? He's like, so, you know, I didn't want to give too much into you at first. So all that time, all them years, I was thinking he didn't like nothing I played, but he really did. He just was trying to be self-conscious about the way he reacted to the music to kind of mentor me into like musicianship.
So how did like the stuff he instilled in you transpire into you working with like Ice Cube and Snoop and everything?
It's a small world. Like when he took me up under his wing, I was able to kind of meet a lot of different cats in the industry that I probably never would have met until years later. So he had me around working with Corrupt on his album. He had me around Roscoe working on his album. He had me around Exhibit working on his album. So I'm meeting these people, just being around him working, you know, and getting my feet wet. And whether it's ghost producing or just playing keys on stuff or like arranging skits or maybe consolidating somebody's album order or whatever it was, he just had me working. And in the midst of it, he had me getting paid and getting checks from doing it. So I was like, okay, this is something I could do. And then when I learned, he was teaching me how I could make money off of it and how to do it. It just kind of opened up the relationship doors to where people were like, okay, well, yeah, I know, yeah, through Sir Jinx. And then it was like, okay, well, play me some of your music. And then it kind of transpired into me working with them. And it just built its own bridge.
So you would consider yourself a producer versus being a beat maker. So you're actually in the studio producing everybody, correct?
Definitely not a beat maker. There's nothing wrong with a beat maker. Every producer has to go through the phase of being a beat maker because there is no other way. So at some point, you just make beats thinking that's how you make music. But producing is a whole nother level of understanding how music is translated, how the language of music translates to the fans. So I definitely consider myself a producer, not a beat maker.
I definitely like that because so many producers nowadays, they sit and they go and like, all right, I'm gonna send them a folder of beats, and I feel like the records don't come out as good or just well thought out or cohesive, based like off that,
Yeah, it's kind of like one of the things where, I mean, even to this day, some artists are just like that. Like, well, send me some stuff and let me see what I like. Sometimes they like to initially start that way to see if they can catch your vibe. Because when you're in your own space, or say I'm in my own studio, my own zone, and I'm just making beats, I'm really just making what I feel at the time. I'm not really making something for someone. So it's kind of hard for them to just adapt to it unless it's something that I feel at that time is the same emotion that they feel when they hear it. Right. Producing a record is more or less like we get in there and I kind of vibe with you. I kind of understand you and know who you are. Try to figure out this message you're trying to get across. So then I can give you a soundscape for that, and then we have a song. We have a record. So it's a lot easier to sit in the studio with someone and make something because you guys are vibing and your vibrations are going simultaneously, and that's what makes the magic. Because if not, you have to match my magic I made at home 4 months ago, depending on how I felt when I made this beat. And if it fits your emotion, then we might luckily get something, or we might have something that's kind of just like, it's all right, it's cool. But if we got in the studio together, it'll probably be a greater experience for the music because I might say something that it might spark something in you and as an artist and make that artist do something totally different that they probably never would have done before. Yeah.
Speaking of vibing, how were you able to vibe to work with like Schoolboy Q and Kendrick Lamar doing Birds and the Bees, and even one of my favorites, Say What's Up?
Man, how did that come about? The transition of that was really like one day, like, man, Dae One, give us some beats. So I think it was Kendrick and Schoolboy. They were like, man, they give us some beats. Like, we working on some stuff. I said, all right. So I think I left them maybe 15 tracks. And I left the studio. They called me. Actually, we ended up running into each other at an event, like one of their listening parties or something. And they were like, yo, you got to come to the studio. We did a record to the song. We did a record to one of your beats. You got to hear it. So I went over there, and it was Birds and the Bees, and they played it for me. And I was like, this was crazy. And when I initially made the beat, it was around the vibe of like when Jay-Z was doing American Gangster. I remember, because I remember when I made the beat, I was like, dang, this would be perfect for Jay.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like that.
It was a Jay, right, so that was the vibration I was on. I was on a Jay-Z feel, like, oh, this would be dope for Jay-Z. And then I sent it to I sent it to them on the CD. I didn't think they was going to like it, but that was the one that they picked. And then what they did to it, I was astonished, like, whoa, that was crazy. So that experience was one in itself. And then the Say What's Up was kind of real similar, except J-Rock had hit me and kind of told me exactly what he wanted, where it was kind of like, I'm looking for something where I can get like a posse cut with everybody on it, and we want this, we want this like this feel. And I was like, all right, cool. So when I initially made the beat for Say What's Up, I thought it was an R&B record. I thought it was.
It definitely has that vibe.
Yeah, I thought it was an R&B track. So I was kind of like, I was trying to put like hooks on it and singers on it. Me and Lori Joe had actually did a hook on it at first, because I was really trying to pitch it as like an R&B record. So when she did the hook on it, I was like, all right, it's cool. And then I sent it over without the hook on it, and then that's when they came back with the record. Like, here, Say What's Up.
What's so great about that record is actually there is no hook, and they're just going back and forth. Were you actually in the studio when like recorded it, or no? You just like sent it to them and. I
was in the studio when they did the last verse. I think the first verse. I wasn't there for the first verses. I came along. I think Abbott did the hook, and then I came along when they were doing the back and forth, the pitching off each other, the back and forth.
That's personally my favorite part, and how they just go, because it reminded me of like BC Boys and like Tribe, where they're actually going back and forth, doing real MC stuff. Did they ever ask you for like a cameo for that video?
No, I didn't even know they were shooting a video. I had no idea they were shooting a video until like it was just like one day they were like, "Yo, the video's done." I'm like, "What video?" They were like, "We did the video to your joint. It's coming out." I had no idea. No, I think when they shot it, it was just kind of like them trying to. If you notice in the video, really all the attention is really just focused on them. It's not focused on no outside. I don't think it's no cameos in that video. It's kind of just like centered around them, just joking around and clowning and having fun with this camera. So.
Do you ever produce a track and you're like, man, I wish I would have been asked to be in that video?
No. I don't really do. I don't really do beats to do placements in videos. Like it's cool. It's not nothing against it. I just don't think like, man, I want to get in the video for this record. Not really. Nah. That never really crosses my mind.
Have you ever hung around them, and is that who they really are? Because I feel like in that song and that video, they're just wow, just shooting on each other and stuff.
You know what? That's really who they are. Like that's really who they are. They really joke and clown and laugh like that and play with each other and smack each other in the head. They really just do that kind of fun stuff. You know, I mean, especially back then at the time we did that. What was that? 2010 or 2011 or something. They really just have a lot of fun, joking times. Now it's a little more serious.
Yeah.
So I understand. You know, everybody we're growing up. So you know, that's kind of understandable.
Yeah.